Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I know that I had rested. I had asked Mr. Jones if I could ask one more question about the overhead markup in our estimate. He said that I've technically rested, so I can't, but I would ask for leave of this commission to be able to provide one answer to one question about the $291,000 number.
Is it up to me? There's so many rabbit holes that this could open up because we just have this one page.
I'll bring him on rebuttal. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll get you back.
All right, the assessor will call Mr. Edmiston.
I'm Bobby Edmiston, Bossier Parish Assessor.
Mr. Edmiston, how long have you been the Bossier Parish Assessor?
I'm in my 28th year.
And you've served continuously through that time?
Yes, sir.
Would you very briefly hit the highlights of your educational background, your relevant certifications and experience?
I became
You got to bring it right up to you.
I became a certified Louisiana assessor. I believe it was in 2000, 2001, completed all the education requirements for that. I currently hold over 600 hours of IAAO education credits. I have spoken, been a speaker at many IAAO conferences. The most recent was in Columbus, Ohio. I went to Louisiana Tech, graduated from there. I was in the banking industry prior to that, dealt a lot with appraisals. That's pretty much my background.
And the deputy appraiser who primarily handled this assessment, was that Brian Eubanks?
Yes, sir.
And he's on your staff there in the Bossier Assessor's Office?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
He was formerly a Louisiana Tax Commission staff appraiser, is that right?
That's correct.
And his certifications are in our packet as well, is that right?
That is correct.
So we'll just fly through that. Mr. Edmiston, before we get into the different indicators of value that your office used, could you very briefly tell the commission how your office approaches valuing a property like this?
Obviously, as an assessor in the state of Louisiana, most appraisals are based on the mass approach to appraisal. So prior to the quadrennial reassessment, we will gather data, sales, land sales, things that occur. We'll identify areas that we need to address. The appraisers will canvass those areas, gather any additional data that they may need to gather, come back to the office, and we will reassess each of those individual properties on a mass basis in Bossier Parish.
And is it true that your office will start working on the next reassessment cycle many years in advance?
That is correct.
And is that simply due to the volume and the complexities so that your office stays ahead of the game, so to speak?
That is correct.
There's been a complaint about just how much this value for this property went up in the 2024 reassessment cycle from the prior cycle. I think they've said it went up 4 times. I'll take that math at face value. Could
Yes.
you explain generally why that happened?
You know, again, in the gathering data, there may not have been enough vacant land sales in that area in years prior. There may not have been enough data of similar properties in years prior, so the property would have stayed virtually the same. I think the only 2 years it changed, or the only year it changed at all, was 19, I believe, when the commission required at that time that we have parking and pavement as a separate item, and we added parking and pavement to that property. I believe it was in 19. As you're all aware, 2020 was the COVID year, and Bossier Parish, under the emergency order, kept everything the same as it was, as 2018.
And other than your college time and then your time in Iraq in the military, have you been a lifelong resident of Bossier Parish?
Well, I was born in Shreveport, but they got me back across the river as quick as possible.
There was some mention about tension along the river. That's true. Um, I heard Mr. Coltman say that this property is in a poor location. Do you agree with that?
I do not agree.
Tell me why.
This property is located on Old Minden Road. While Old Minden Road itself may not be a main thoroughfare like Airline Drive or Benton Road, it is in very close proximity to both of those. It is a heavily traveled east-west location. You can throw a rock from this facility and hit I-20. If you throw the rock a little bit harder, you will hit US Highway 80. So it is in the central part of Bossier Parish. The mall is probably less than a half a mile away. A lot of shopping venues are less than half a mile away. A lot of businesses all along that corridor, the Airline Drive corridor. I think it is a good location.
You also heard Mr. Coleman testify that his company did not receive the pre-notice. Could you enlighten us on that?
In a reassessment year, you're required to send a pre-notice, not just to any property that increased 15%. You're in a reassessment year, you have to send it for every property. And those notices were mailed. We're not required to mail them certified. We're not required to determine that they actually received the piece of mail. It was sent to the same address that the tax bills go to. A pre-notice would not have been required in 2025 because the value didn't change from 24 to 25.
And have you checked your records to confirm that pre-notice was mailed in 2024?
I have.
Mr. Edmondson, let's get into the nuts and bolts of this. When your deputy was analyzing the value of this property, did he utilize all three approaches to value?
He did.
Let's start with the market approach. And if you would, we'll be on page. We're just going to hit the highlights. We are on page 18. No, actually starts on 17, 16. What are we looking at on page 17 of your packet?
Page 17 is sales of mini storage facilities that have occurred in Bossier Parish throughout several years. We use those sales to help indicate, I'll admit up front, those sales are outside the tax commission's range of sales, but they're still an indicator to us. There's something we would look at. The grid is in there, that the median sale price of these mini storage facilities, price per square foot, was $39.77. So, they're all within a decent decent locations. There's actually a map that has a 1.5 mile circle around it. It's kind of small and kind of hard to see, but you can see several mini storage facilities in approximate location relative to Northgate Mini Storage. 3 of those are in this sales grid. They occurred three of those facilities in this sales grid.
So we have, it looks like 8 storage facilities in Bossier Parish here.
That's correct.
And as you noted, several of them are within, say, a mile and a half.
That is correct.
And these are all verified by your office, correct?
That is correct.
All of the details here. So the sales price, the building value, the climate control percentage, the distance, and the occupancy rate.
That is correct.
All right. And then behind that, we have the data sheets for all of these sales. Is that right?
That is correct. Each individual data sheet for each individual sale.
Okay. And then if we turn to page 28 of your packet. This is where your office breaks out those details and what I would call reconciles them for use in this analysis. Is that right?
That is correct.
Bottom line, end of the day, if you look at the bottom right-hand corner, after adjustments, your office calculated a $39.50 per square foot for the market approach. Is that right?
That is correct.
That includes the land
Yes, sir.
and imputing a total value of $918,400. Is that right?
That is correct.
Did the taxpayer ever present you with contrary comparable sales?
He did not.
Did he ever present you with a comparable sale for a storage facility that sold for $9 a square foot?
He did not.
Let's briefly talk about the cost approach.
Yes,
The office used. We're on page 30 of your packet. Did your office utilize Marshall and Swift to come up with a estimate for the cost to reconstruct the improvements new?
we
for the
did.
property? And that's standard that used throughout the industry?
Yes, sir.
And that figure was 1.383 million. Is that right?
That's correct.
All right. And then below that, we see less depreciation. We have physical and functional as well as additional functional. Do you see that?
I do.
And your office calculated $719,368.
That's correct.
All right. And when we deduct that from the cost to construct new and add in the land, we get a total value of $1,051,000. Is that right?
That's correct.
Now that $719,000 number for depreciation, is that more or less than the deferred maintenance obsolescence figure that we just went over with?
Significantly more.
And then lastly, did your office utilize the income approach?
We did.
You'll turn to page 31 of your packet.
Yes, sir.
The starting point for the income approach was the potential gross revenue. Do you see that?
I do.
$174,240. Where did you get that number?
That is the number if all of his units were rented at 100% at the rate he charges for those units.
And so does that number come straight from the taxpayer's financials provided showing the potential gross revenue?
It did not come from there. It is almost identical to that number. We typically develop that number ourselves. We'll call storage units facilities and ask what their rates are and what they charge and develop that number.
And then below that, you're allowing 10% for vacancy. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. And where did you get that number?
That's from the Bossier market. If you go back to that sales comparison and there is a column for occupancy, it just comes from our market. That's about normal for our market.
And that was verified by your office?
That's correct.
So the average occupancy in the Bossier market is 80-90%, right?
That is correct. Above 80, more like 85 and
Okay.
90.
And then you added two more items of income, NSF, which we think is insufficient funds, bad checks, and then miscellaneous income. Did you get those from the taxpayers' financials?
We did.
All right, so you have a total effective gross income there. And then you deduct expenses. Now, you show 30%. Why are you using 30%?
Again, that was developed from the Bossier market. We do have income and expense information on other storage facilities that we gather, and we developed that expense from the market, but we also get that expense ratio from professional organizations. TREP is one that we use pretty frequently. It's a third-party provider that develops models for our office.
Why not just use all of the financials provided by the taxpayer? Why use market data?
We believed that the 41% occupancy was not reflective of the market. We also believed that the expenses were out of line with the market. And so we used market numbers.
At the end of the day, we're looking for market value, right?
That is correct.
And for the income approach, we're talking about and assuming typical management, right?
That's correct.
And is it your testimony that the financials provided by the taxpayer, the income, the expenses, the occupancy were not reflective of the market?
They are not reflective of the market.
And so after we get an effective net operating income, you apply a 10%, 10.5% cap rate. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And where does that come from?
Again, that's developed from the market. There are some other sources that we use, source called the RERC Situs report. TREP also develops cap rates. I believe that we had a cap rate range from anywhere from 6 to 10.5. 10.5 was the highest cap rate.
And the higher the cap rate, the lower the imputed value, correct?
That's correct.
And so you're giving the taxpayer the benefit of the doubt there.
That is correct.
All right, and when we use all the millages and so forth, we end up with an indicated value of $930,024. Is that right?
That is correct.
That includes the land,
Yes, sir.
which you computed using the vacant land sales data that's in your packet.
That is correct.
And so at the end of the day, we have three different approaches that all point in the same direction. Okay?
Yes, sir.
We have the income approach we just discussed. We have cost approach.
Which yielded a value of just over $1 million, and the sales approach, which indicated a value of $918,000, correct?
That is correct.
And so ultimately, your office decided to put the most weight on and rely upon the income approach. Is that right?
That is correct.
And why did you do that?
They were all, they're a very tight range. You want to pick one that you say is the one we relied on the most. The income based off the market seemed the most appropriate, not by much, but it seemed like the most appropriate to use, so we did.
And the other approaches, though not ultimately relied on, verified at the end of the day, your ultimate value conclusion.
Oh, most definitely.
Was your office's work done in accordance with Louisiana law?
Yes, sir.
I would
tax
object to
commission
that
guidance?
question as a legal conclusion, but it sounds like he's already answered it.
Was your work done in accordance with tax commission guidance,
Yes, sir.
as well as the USPAP standard for mass appraisals?
Most definitely.
I want to talk briefly about the what I call the the overstated email.
Sure.
And I just want the record to reflect that I'm not waiving my objection. It's been allowed, so I'm gonna walk through the door. Tell me about the context in which that email was sent.
I believe I was notified in January, it could have been December of 24, but most definitely January of 25 about the value of the property. There were extensive exchanges of information, extensive meetings, phone calls, back and forth on the information. I think there were like 1,300 pages of information, not only up to that date, but past that date. And so, we always attempt to work with the taxpayer. We always attempt to understand their viewpoint. So in an effort to come to a reasonable agreement, I wrote that standalone email and made what I thought was a reasonable agreement, and that agreement was not accepted.
And is this something you've done with Mr. Coleman in the past?
Yes,
But successfully, you were able to get to an agreement.
yes,
And in that email where you offered a new value, that value figure was calculated by your office, essentially giving the taxpayer every benefit of the doubt, correct?
given the benefit of doubt of the actual income, did not give the benefit of the doubt of the actual expenses. We believe they were not in line with the market. And so we discounted the actual income.
Do you believe that your value on which the assessment is based, 913,000, sitting here today, do you believe that it is overstated?
I do not.
Why?
Again, through this process that has been going on right up till probably a week ago, of discussions, more information was obtained, more data was observed, more things came to light. And while they were not in our evidence package because they were not presented to the Board of Review, obviously I, as the assessor, can consider those things. And it just seemed that after the offer that our 913 was the proper assessment.
Did you consider all the information the taxpayer provided?
Absolutely.
Did the taxpayer ever provide any appraisal concluding that the property was worth only $222,000?
No, sir.
Did the taxpayer provide any appraisal at all?
No, sir.
Did the taxpayer provide any market-based statistics to support its $222,000?
No, sir.
Was there any indication that the taxpayer's financials that they provided were audited?
No, sir.
Did you cooperate with the tax commission staff appraiser, Mr. Paul Bennett?
We supplied Mr. Paul Bennett with our file of information, and that was pretty much it.
And was that provided at Mr. Bennett's request?
Yes,
Did you also attempt to encourage the taxpayer to work with Mr. Bennett?
I did.
Tell us about that.
I don't remember if it was in the initial phone call from Mr. Bennett or a subsequent phone call, but he indicated that he had not heard from the taxpayer. Nobody had made contact. So in an effort to make sure they had their due process, I sent an email. I copied Mr. Bennett and Mr. Coleman and Roger Clark and probably some people in my office. I may even copied the attorneys on it, just saying, hey, Paul Bennett from the Louisiana Tax Commission is attempting to get a hold of you. Here is his contact information. And I sent the email.
That's all I have. Thank you.
And some questions. I want to start with the issue of notice. Do you have that notice that you said was sent with you today?
I actually do have it somewhere.
And that document, if we look at page 41 of taxpayers' information, I'll give that to you. Page 41.
Okay.
In your email, you say you're attaching the pre-notice. You see that in the second line?
Yes, sir.
And this email is dated May 30th, right?
Yes, sir.
When was that document allegedly as pre-notice created?
It was created on August 5th of 2024.
So I checked the metadata on that document, and the metadata says it was created on May 30th, 2025. Did you know that?
I know that one particular document, maybe this one in the office, was created by my IT person, which he has like the master file and he would have printed it. So could have very well said, this is actually a different document from the vendor itself that mails the documents.
So the document you're holding in your hand created on May 30th, 2025 is not a true and correct copy of the document you say was provided to the taxpayer on August 9th, 2024, right?
This is the document that our vendor, a copy of the document that our vendor would have mailed to all taxpayers in Bossier Parish.
With metadata that it was created on May 30th, 2025.
Not this document. The one in the email probably was, but not this document.
Where'd you print that one off from?
This document came straight from the vendor.
And so the one that you provided to the taxpayer on May 30th, 2025 was actually created that same day, and you were saying that that was the pre-notice sent, correct?
It was a pre-notice from my IT person that I don't know how he created it or where he got it from.
Okay. Now, sticking with this email, May 30th, even the one in March, the assessment of $913,298, that's what you are claiming is the assessment for 2025, right?
That is correct.
And you're stating that it was overstated insofar as 2024 is concerned.
In this email, at that point in time, we were discussing the 2024 assessment.
And at this time in May of, I want to make sure I got your testimony correct. At this time in May of 2025, there was, according to you, extensive exchanges of information, over 1,300 pages of information provided back and forth, right?
Not by May, no, sir.
Okay. By May of 2025, there had been discussions and exchanges of information related to the income for 5 years at Northgate, right?
Oh, yes, sir.
And so you received 5 years of information related to this, this company. And at that point in May, after reviewing all that information, you believe 913,000 was overstated.
At that moment in time, yes, sir.
And you provided the analysis from your office, Mr. Eubank's analysis of how you got to the $434,000, right?
Yes, sir.
And you used a market cap rate of 6%, right?
Yes, sir.
That's not the market cap rate that you're using in the appraisal that has been submitted to this commission, right?
No, sir.
And so when you say that you're willing to go to 434,000, in fact, it should be lower than that because the market cap rate is wrong.
The market cap rate is anywhere from 6 to 10.5.
And so if the market cap rate is 10.5%, then the assessment should be closer to $273,000 using your methodology.
The market cap rate is anywhere from 6 to 10.5.
And if I use your market cap rate submitted to this commission of 10.5% and your methodology used in May of 2025, the assessed value should be closer to $273,000, correct?
I do not agree.
Okay, you don't agree with the math?
I do not agree with any of that information.
So you don't agree that the methodology that your office used to come up with $434,000?
I agree with that methodology. I don't agree with 273,000.
Right, because it would require you to apply 10.5% market cap that you didn't use with the $434,000 number.
The market cap rate is from 6 to 10.5.
And you selected for today's purposes 10.5% to justify your 913,000, but not for use with your $434,000 number.
Okay.
And if we use 10.5% with your May 2025 methodology, the assessed value would be closer to $273,000, right?
I do not know.
So as of May 30th, 2025, you had 5 years of income information, right?
That's correct.
And when you submitted your appraisal to the Bossier Parish Board of Review, which
Yep.
is your exhibit number 1, you had all of that information, right?
Yes, sir.
And you didn't factor in any of that 5 years worth of income information in the document that you're presenting to this commission today.
Our income approach is in the package we submitted.
I understand it is. You did not use any of the data provided by the taxpayer in developing your income approach that you're presenting to this commission today.
We didn't think the data was relevant. The expenses were extremely high.
The expenses you might quibble with and use a range of 30, 35, maybe 40% of operating expense ratio. But the actual income information is true and correct, right?
If you accept the premise that 41% occupancy is the best that they can do.
It's the best they did for 5 years before you submitted your assessment to the Bossier Parish Board of Review, right?
Yes, sir.
And the $57,000 that they were having in revenue per year was demonstrated over that 5-year period before as well, right?
Seemed to be, yes, sir.
Yet you think that the effective gross income of the taxpayer in this case should be $161,000 for your assessment.
That's what the market indicates, yes, sir.
And that is based off of your review of self-storage facilities that are air conditioned, right?
No, sir. The vast majority of units included in those sales that we had are non-air conditioned units.
Well, I didn't ask you if there were non-air conditioned units. I said your assessment included facilities with air conditioned units, right?
No, sir. Doesn't always include, we value like properties.
Did you include in your assessment that you're presenting to this commission today facilities that have air conditioned units?
No, sir.
All right, let's go to page 17 of your exhibit number 1. Oh, your exhibit. Sorry, sir. That's not, it'll be in the back, but it'll have different numbers. Do you have a copy for him? He was just talking about it. Okay. You talked about this page 17 of your exhibit number 1 with your counsel, right?
That's correct.
All right. You have a climate control column here, don't you?
Yes, sir.
And you include facilities that have air conditioned units.
Yes, sir.
So when I asked you if your assessment provided to this tax commission today included facilities that had air conditioned, the answer would be yes.
I mean, when we looked at the market approach, I know that Mr. Eubank emphasized number 2 and number 3 sale. Number three, I believe, does have a modest amount of climate control. Maybe not, but again, the air-conditioned, climate-controlled facilities would be at the upper end. I mean, you see on the high end, $111.74.
So the answer to my question is yes, you included air-conditioned facilities in your assessment.
Air-conditioned facilities are included in this grid of the, I believe, 8. There are only 3 that have air conditioned. One only has 9%, another one has 32%.
And you also admit that you used sales outside the range set by the tax commission, right?
I mean, yes, we've viewed sales outside their range.
And you're using facilities built in 1999, which is, 19 years newer than the facility that Northgate owns, right?
So that page. I believe, see, a 1986. There are some 1999s.
That's not my question. My question's not about 1986. You included facilities that are 19 years newer than the Northgate facility.
I assume so.
And you included 5 of those that are significantly newer than the Northgate facility, right?
Yes.
And you mentioned that you didn't have some of this data and that may have justified why there was such an increase in 2024, but some of these sales are from even before 2020, right? Half of them are.
That is correct.
Okay. So you had these for your for the 2020 assessment?
I don't understand the question.
Did you have access to this sales data for the 2020 year assessment?
Sure, we would have had it.
And so when you say that it jumped because you had all these sales, half the sales were before the last quadrennial assessment, right?
Yes, sir.
You also mentioned that you don't agree it's in a poor location, and you specifically mentioned main thoroughfares, Airline and Benton Road, right?
Yes, sir.
Several of these facilities are on Airline Drive and Benton Road, correct?
There are some on Airline and some on Benton.
And so you used supposed comps, whether they're inside or outside the tax commission's range, that are on the main thoroughfares of Bossier Parish.
I would consider Old Minden Road a main thoroughfare of Bossier Parish.
That you used, so are you saying that Old Minden Road is a higher traffic area than Airline Drive?
I don't do traffic counts, so I don't know.
Well, you're the one who's talking about that it's a main thoroughfare, so if you don't do traffic counts, how can you even testify that it's a main thoroughfare?
I travel both.
Stop. He gave his opinion of what the roads were in the general description of the area. He didn't certify or testify that it's a high traffic count. So let's get back on point on talking about the value.
So you
We're not,
used.
let me finish.
Yes, Mr.
We're not going to sit here and do character assassination on the assessor, because that's what it sounds like from sitting here. Let's get back to questions about the value so that we can determine what the value is.
And Mr. Chairman, I'm not, assassinating
You're
him.
trying to make him look foolish, and
This
that's
is-
obvious to all of us, and it
this is
needs
a-
to stop.
He's under cross-examination, and I'm entitled to ask him questions to get to there. And so all I'm trying to say is that you added properties that are on the main thoroughfares of Airline Drive and Benton Road, right?
Yes.
And correct me if I'm wrong, you use a 10% vacancy rate for your income approach for Northgate, correct?
That's correct.
And some of the properties that you're using in your comp on page 17 have vacancies as low as 80%, right?
Well, that's probably correct.
Mr. Chairman, I have no further questions for this witness.
Mr. Edmiston, did your office in the market approach account for the fact that one of the comparables emphasized was climate controlled?
Oh, most definitely. You know, you use adjustments for location and adjustments for climate control, not climate controlled.
So for instance, on page 28 of your packet, one of the comparables that was emphasized, is there a 20% reduction in the value specifically to account for the condition, quality, climate control?
It appears that way.
Has any professional appraisal ever criticized your office's market approach?
No, sir.
Thank you. That's all I have.
For, Assessor, any questions from the commission?
Mr. Chair, I have one question for the assessor and his attorney. You asked the question about audited financials being provided. Are they normally provided to your office or requested of any other taxpayer?
Oh, they are at times, yes, sir.
They are required.
They are not always required, no, sir.
So when you receive unaudited financial statements, do you dispute that information?
We don't always dispute it. We can consider it, ask questions, dig into it deeper.
Thank you.
Commissioner Romig, may I follow up on your question? When you receive financials from a taxpayer and you're conducting the income approach, is it your standard approach then to also look at the market as well as the financials provided?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
We rest.
I got a question. Just looking at when you put out the new value, when you said it was overstated. What, because I'm reading your email and it says y'all completed an income approach to come up with this value. What income was used?
We use the actual income of the property. I believe that's that average of $57,000 per year. We used that income, but we did not use the actual expenses because we felt like they were overblown.
I mean, I don't disagree on the averages of expenses and stuff like that. I'm just curious about the income and did you perform that or did your appraiser who did the 900,000 one do it?
I'm the captain of the boat. I know where the engine room is, but don't ask me to change the spark plugs.
I think he dodged the question.
It's okay. I
I
understand.
did not.
But I guess why it was related to me was the cap rate is a big deal. And how we can go from a 10.5 to somebody reworked it at 6. Now we're back to 10.5 with what you're asking. It is a problem because that's a huge difference. We all know it makes a huge difference on the value. So that's why I was curious who did that value. Because if it was the same appraiser to
It
do
was the same.
both,
It was the same.
how do you come up with that big of a difference? It's, and so that was my question in that. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'll ask a follow-up question to that because of my inexperience in what's the appropriate cap rate. So I imagine a 6% indicates some sort of building and a 10.5 indicates another half. So they're opposite ends of the spectrum. Is it building age? Is it material? What contributes to that determination?
It could be age, it could be location, it could be condition.
So there's no consistency in this. The new building is not automatically 6%.
It could be, but it's not automatic. Yes, sir. We made the offer, it was not accepted on multiple occasions.
Just, just one more, just so we can clear up the cap rate. Do you know what the cap rate is on your other properties, mini storages that are used?
I don't know, and I don't know that we use the income approach on
Okay.
all mini storages. As you know, you try to be fair and equitable, try to use the same approach on all types of property. Typically, commercial property, because you don't always get income from individuals, especially when the income's real good. They don't want to give it to you when it's real bad. They're knocking at your door. You use the cost approach most of the time on most commercial properties.
Two-second clarification. If you look at our original income approach, so not the settlement offer, that's on page 31. The baseline starting point for income, potential income, 174, 240. That's straight from exactly to the penny from the financials they provided in the pack.
From the LTC appraiser now, Mr. Bennett?
Paul Bennett with the Louisiana Tax Commission. I personally appraised the property at 3323 Old Minden Road, known as Northgate Mini Storage, with a disputed land value of $331,500 via the sales comparison approach, an improvement value of $607,500 for the improvements, for a total of $939,000.
TC appraiser.
Just a quick question. As far as the income, where did you gather your income from?
The income was, some of it was taken from the Bossier Tax Assessor, which is the predominant source for all the data they filter through the clerk of court. So it captures things that MLS or other agencies don't capture. But also some of the data was taken from MLS. So it was fully researched and verified and qualified. So yeah, most of it came from the same source.
Did you request it from the taxpayer and receive any?
We did not ever have an opportunity to speak with the taxpayer. On the 3103, our point of contact is Roger Clark. I left multiple voicemails for him in the emails. It was also CC'd on an email from Bobby, requested him to call me, and that was, I think my last attempt was on 12/5, and then I received an email back from Roger Clark on 1/21, which was, 3 weeks after the appraisal had been completed, that they were researching data and would get that back to us.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I have a question for Mr. Bennett. So in your assessment or appraisal, you utilize the cap rate of?
Cap rate of 10%, and that is it's a tier 3 property, which is an older building, and the ranges were, the ranges for a third tier warehouse is 6.5% to 10%. I went to the higher end of that range due to those are kind of coupled with properties that are in superior markets. So that takes into consideration Atlanta and Houston. So it's in an inferior area. So we typically lean towards the upper end of that cap rate.
Thank you.
I just have one brief question. 6% cap rate would be below what your research showed as the range, and the range includes superior markets like Houston and Atlanta and Dallas.
Correct. The range was 6.5 to 10%, and that's taken from the RRC. That was from the first quarter of 2023.
And so when you were here, listening about the use of the 6% by the tax assessor, that would be outside the range that you identified, in your report.
That would be outside of RERC's range, but not probably, I think from some of the other sources like TREP and others, it's in a range. So there, it could possibly be within, if you take those other data sources into consideration.
But in the data you considered, 6.5 would be the
Yes.
lowest end.
Correct.
No further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Bennett, the ranges for the cap rates, you pulled from data from RERC, the Real Estate Research Corporation,
Correct.
and you know that to be a reliable source of information.
I do.
And the range you pulled for our region was 6.5 to 10%. So the flip side of the question you were just asked is the 10.5% used by the assessor's office to actually render their estimate of value for purposes of this assessment would be even more favorable to the taxpayer.
Correct.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd suggest you have Mr. Bennett talk about his qualifications, his training, specifically the certification he holds from the Louisiana Assessors Association, just in connection with the taxpayers measure.
Paul, if you don't mind.
I hold a certified residential license with the Louisiana, with the Louisiana Real Estate Commission. 23 years licensed. I've have a certificate with the IAAO, and essentially studied business in college with a bachelor's in business and administration from Louisiana Tech, and that's kind of based on my qualifications.
Any additional questions?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I have one additional question, if I may. This comes to a comment that you had made on the projection of the revenue. I think you referenced 170 some odd thousand, and you mentioned a document. Is that the budgeted income from the taxpayers exhibit where you were also citing the employee units?
Yes, Commissioner Romig, if you go to page 117 of the taxpayers packet, you'll
Yeah,
have the.
that's the document that you referenced previously. So that's
Yes.
budgeted income is what you were using.
They have as the top line, the gross potential.
Correct.
Then they take
Budgeted income.
Correct. Potential.
There are no other questions. I would ask, we have a motion that we take this under advisement.
Mr. Chair, I move that we take this matter under advisement.
Mr. Chairman,
well-
I do have a rebuttal witness. I know that there's an objection to this, and I'm happy to explain myself. We did ask for continuance of this because of the appraiser not being available that we identified on our, and I totally understand that and respect the decision of the commission. That witness is identified as an MAI appraiser on our list. And what we would like to do is to just provide some rebuttal testimony on the market cap rate, only that, and allow that testimony in as a rebuttal witness, which we identified on our witness list that we may bring a rebuttal witness. And if this was in court, rebuttal witnesses do not necessarily have to be identified prior to the hearing.
Mr. Chairman, the witness list says that they may call an MAI appraiser. There's 8,000 of those in the United States. We didn't know it was Mr. Moon until we saw him in the hotel last night. None of this information was provided to the Board of Review. This is trial by ambush. We object.
So Chairman, as I appreciate it, there's two distinct issues. One is they did identify a specific MIA or MAI appraiser on their witness list as required under our rules in the case management order, but that witness is not available for whatever reason. And so they have a different appraiser that was not previously identified, who they would like to present rebuttal testimony from. Your call, Chairman. As you know, the taxpayer can't circumvent the limitation of 47-1989 A1AI with regard to the scope of this commission's consideration of the information presented to the assessor as he prepared the assessment that is subject to this protest. Perhaps with that in mind, the commission can filter what is admissible and what is not, but certainly the chair's prerogative whether you want to allow the taxpayer to present this testimony from a previously undisclosed witness.
I guess I'm gonna ask for the wishes of the commission. My instinct is to not allow the witness, in fact, it's not the person that was identified to us. That may be wrong from a legal standpoint, but once again, it gets back to us having all the information ahead of time, having to do it. If we allow it, we'll have to walk a very fine line because it can't introduce any new testimony, can't do it. So I'm gonna ask y'all opinion, and I'm okay if there's difference of opinions on this one.
I actually agree with it. I think we stayed pretty consistent on how we handle this, and we let this, then, we don't go forward, that we might have to do it again, so.
Okay, so,
Sounds denied.
It's an objection by the assessor, so it would be from the chair's discretion to sustain the objection, to not allow the witness, or to rule the objection to allow the witness to testify.
and not allow the rebuttal witness at this time.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You both.
Thank you for your time today, Commissioners.
Yep. Before we adjourn, we have a housekeeping matter. Ms. Banks?
Just wanted to state for the record, in regards to the prior pen and change orders, they were not approved. All 4 prior pen and change orders will remain in pending status. Thank you.
We just want to clarify that. Any other business to come before the commission? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Chair, call for a motion to adjourn.
Okay, we have a motion. Any discussion on the motion? Any objection? Hearing none, motion is adopted. We adjourn at 12:14 PM. Thank you all.